Hey guys, Alex from BoardGameCo, and today we're talking about Monumental African Empires. Now before we jump into that, I do have a quick few channel updates, timestamps down below if you just want to skip those and go straight to the Kickstarter overview. But to start off, first of all, regarding ads, I saw a lot of comments, or at least not a lot, but a few comments talking about how there are too many ads. And at first, I kind of wrote it off as, people who just didn't want to see ads on videos, and it is what it is, and it's not really my problem. But then after getting a few more comments, I looked into it, and YouTube was apparently putting mid-rolls, not on all of my videos, but they were putting mid-rolls on like every 3 minutes on a handful of my videos. Meaning I just had it set up for YouTube to do whatever they do best. I was just leaving my hands off of it. But an ad every 3 minutes is insane, absolutely crazy. Going forward, and I already edited all my June videos, I may go back further, we'll see. But going forward, I'll be manually placing the mid-rolls, and just in terms of that, I'm going to try to limit it to basically, for every 10 minutes of video, there might be one mid-roll. So a 20-minute video might have 2, 10-minute video might have 1, etc., and like that. Meaning I have no problem with ads. It does generate money. At the same time, I want these videos to be watchable, and while there are many options out there to not see ads at all, for those of you that don't engage with those options, I definitely want a better viewing experience. So expect fewer ads if you've been getting spammed with those until now. Secondly, just a little note, I've had a few people request either some sort of community conversation or something. I do plan on setting up a Discord server in terms of just having an opportunity to talk or to join or whatnot. I'll figure out the details later. I don't know what I'm doing exactly yet. I just have it on my to-do list, so that's that. Next from there, I probably will be doing a Patreon as well. Again, same idea. I don't know when, if, how, or what not. I know in the past I've talked about how you can just support the channel by heading on over to BoardGameCo.com and buying some stuff. But honestly, I'm probably going to have it as a tiered, have them both work off of each other. So for example, at higher pledge levels, not the basic one, but at higher Patreon levels, you'll be able to potentially get discounts on BoardGameCo. So it'll, be one hand washing the other and all that. Lastly, just a note regarding the polls I put out. There's not a poll today, not in this video, but when I do put out a poll, there's a whole comment section down below where you can add comments. I don't always have the opportunity. I haven't yet had the opportunity to go through all the comments. I really appreciate it. It's very helpful getting your feedback on what you like, what you don't like, what new videos you want to see. Just a general note, you don't feel the need, whenever I put these out, don't feel the need to ever repeat yourself, because anything that you put out at all it's either going into a list where I can put a video on it, or alternatively, it's something that for whatever reason I'm not going to talk about. So, feel free to write it again, but in case you're like, oh, he didn't see it, he hasn't addressed it, I've seen it, and most of these things are going in a backlog. You guys, both between my own list of videos I want to cover, between all the Kickstarters coming, you guys had a ton of great suggestions, things I didn't think of at all, that will definitely be going into this queue. And this is why more and more I'm drifting towards one video a day instead of one every other day, just because there's so much stuff to cover. So as long as it's fun for me, and it still is, I'll probably be doing one video a day as long as I have the time and opportunity. And in general, I'll be trying to announce a bit more my schedule throughout the week, and or using those polls to establish it, just so you have an idea of what's coming. Speaking of which, tomorrow there will be another video. It will likely be Bristol 1350, and then from there I'll probably be doing a monumental review later in the week, and then from there I'll be covering Dinosaur 1944 by Peterson Games. That will definitely be coming later in the week. I don't know the exact sequence, but you can expect a video on Dinosaur 1944, Dinosaur 1944, Bristol 1350, and a monumental review will all be coming later this week. And I have a whole backlog, lots more stuff to cover, and that is more of a general channel update. And if you just skipped here from the timestamp, hi, good to see you. Monumental African Empires, let's talk about it. Monumental launched last year sometime, or whatever it was, from Funforge Games, and overall, their initial campaign, they actually had a failed launch and then a restart. I wouldn't call it a failed launch. It wasn't getting as much momentum as they liked. They took it down, they relaunched, and it did decently well. Not raking in millions, but it did a decent job, had a lot of support. And ultimately, Monumental is effectively a deck building game. That's what it is. Yes, it's a 4X. Yes, there's amazing miniatures. Yes, the production quality is off the chart. But effectively, all you're really talking about here is a deck builder. Nothing more complicated than that. Meaning it's, and this will be relevant as I talk more about the campaign, but what you're looking at here is a $100 deck builder. That's what it is. No problem with that. I mean, listen, if you invest enough in Dominion, you'll definitely be at $100 or more within 2 or 3 expansions. But it is an overproduced game, not a question. I'll cover this more in my review when I get to that. But that doesn't change the question of, is it worth it? Should you back it? Should you not? What's going on here? So again, a quick overview of the game. Monumental is a deck builder. It's a 4X deck builder where effectively you have this 9-card display. Let me see if I can find a photo of it here. I don't know if they have any overview of the gameplay. But basically, you have a 9-card display. It's not showing it here, I apologize. But anyways, you have a 9-card display where you lay out your nine cards in a 3x3 grid that you take from your deck. And from those cards, what you do is you activate one row and one column, and you then produce resources and or abilities from those cards that will enable you to actually execute on some form of 4x something, which means acquiring more cards, advancing on the map display, turning it in for more cards, lots of card stuff, weeding your deck, advancing your generating culture so you can generate cultural abilities. Ultimately, it's a deck builder with a twist, and that twist is that 9-card display, because then the row and column you activate, you're going to remove from your 9-card display. The other 4 cards will remain, and you'll deal out new cards until you refill your display. That's basically the whole game right there. I'll cover this in my overview, my review of the game. I'll cover more with the rules, not super in depth, but I'll cover more, as well as my own opinion and takeaway and all that. But that is what Monumental is. Monumental African Empires is an expansion and a few, I'm going to call them fixes, but alternative ways to play. So Monumental, while it generally has been decently reviewed, it certainly has critiques. And one of the most common critiques that it had is the fact that it is a slow game. And this is something we saw even before the Kickstarter hit, from people who played it at conventions or whatnot. Even before that first Kickstarter hit, you'd have a bunch of people who were like, well, this is a great game, but it was too long for what it is. And that is ultimately my opinion of the game. It's a great game, but it's too long for what it is. I have more comments, but I'll go into that in my review. But Monumental African Empires aims to fix that with a few of the additions that they're adding, as well as other things. So let's cover what the gameplay covers. Let's cover what the campaign, what the expansion is adding. And then we'll talk about the pledge levels, the optional buys, and of course, is it worth it? Should you back it? Should you not? Will it hold its value? So to begin with, it starts by giving you 3 new expansions, 3 new tribes or whatnot. The miniatures, different. We have the Mali Empire, the Axum Kingdom, and the Zulu Kingdom. By the way, if you haven't watched the Zulu movie with Michael Caine a long time ago, great movie, highly recommend it. Anyways, every time I see the word Zulu, I just think of the Zulu movie. But Zulu Kingdom minis, it has trading post minis, more bases, has a whole bunch of new cards, new Civ cards, era cards, unrest cards, which is a new thing, autonomous cards, quest cards. Quest cards are a new thing as well. We'll touch on that. Some new terrain, a trade track, extra word there, resource counters, various tokens, wonder tokens, continuous play tokens, and that's relevant to one of the expansions as well, the Zulu custom die, cloth to bag, trade track tokens, and of course a rulebook. So what does it add to the game? So to begin with, it adds this continuous gameplay. Now they did release the rulebook, so you can look at that. But ultimately, continuous play, I am intrigued by the concept. I'm also very wary how well it's actually improved the gameplay, the time from their playtesting. Because for me, I don't see it actually improving the time. I do see it improving the engagement on turns, but not necessarily the playtime. Now, what I mean by that is the way continuous play operates is instead of one person, choosing their tableau of cards to activate and then taking their whole turn, cashing the tokens, doing this, doing that, doing everything else. Instead of all that, each player will activate their tableau at the same time, generate their resources at the same time, and then take turns taking one action at a time. So the fact that you're taking one action at a time instead of a quick sequence of actions, to me, in my own opinion, as someone who has not played this, I imagine that would slow down the game, personally. Maybe you save a little bit on the decision process of which row and column to activate, but it seems like the process of alternating turns, meaning when I take my turn in Monumental right now, I activate my tableau, and then I go, and I'm moving these troops, and I'm buying this card, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and great. It's usually decently quick. Not super quick, but decently quick. It's possible that the production of resources would, maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know how people play in terms of what their downtime is. But additionally, the problem is now this new variation of play also allows for the fact that your plan for the turn might be compromised as other people do things, as other people buy a card, as other people move on the board in a way that you no longer want to do what you did, which for me is a pro to the gameplay. It makes the gameplay far more engaging in theory. Haven't played it yet. In theory, it makes the gameplay more intriguing. But it also means that you have to spend more time thinking through which row and column you want to activate, because now you're hedging your bets. Now it's not as simple as, okay, great, I want to do this one, but rather, I want to do this row in this column, but if he does this and he does that, so I kind of have to activate this one because this will be better backup, meaning I think there'd be more thought into what you have to do. So, interesting concept. I mean, they say it improves downtime. I have to imagine they've played it. For myself, I am a little wary of whether it adds to the gameplay time. At the same time, if it improves the game, I'm also fine with it. Meaning, my opinion of Monumental is that it's a good game, but it's too long for what it is. And to me, you can solve that in one of two ways. You can either make it shorter, or you can make it more than what it is. So if this does either of those things, that's a win for me. On the other hand, if it just slows it down and doesn't make it more strategic, more immersive, more interesting, then just don't play with it, and simple enough. Although we're still left with Monumental, so there. Then we have quests. Quests is the next thing they add. I appreciate quests. They basically give you a hidden opportunity a hidden objective that for a way for you to score points in this game. So for example, one of them might be, if you have 10 gold, cash in a quest and get some points. So that is an interesting gameplay. I'm curious to see what the rest of them are like. I just know from the rulebook that they have a 10 gold one. And that's interesting just because gold in this game is not hard to get, but usually you want to spend it to further build your engine and get more cards and better improve your deck and your board state. So holding on to gold might get you points, but it means you're giving up opportunities in the game to actually improve the rest of the game. So interesting concept. I'm intrigued to see what the other quests are and how they would play out. I would like to see a lot more battle-focused ones. Something I'm going to talk about in my review is that one of my two complaints against Monumental, my two main complaints against Monumental, were the downtime aspect. Not necessarily the downtime, but the game is too long for what it is. And then additionally, I felt the military was very unnecessary mid-game. Early game it's important, late game it's important. Mid-game I kind of felt like it was a slog and just unnecessary and clogged up your deck. So if there's a better way to utilize quests mid-game, I'm all for that. Honestly, for me, if they can make a majority of the quests, like, 2/3 of the quests, things like conquer the barbarian horde, spend 10 military, whatever it is, that would be great for me. I would really appreciate the opportunity to cash in on a strong military middle of the game. So that's my own opinion, my own 2 cents, but I am curious what quests will add. They also have advanced economics through the use of the trade track. I didn't look into this super detailed, but it adds a trade track and some benefits. It adds these trade huts that become more powerful the further down the map they are placed from the original kingdom. They look interesting. I haven't gone through the rules in these, so feel free to look at the rulebook. They have that. They have a new future era, which is basically a new endgame mode to bet on how the game will play out or what will happen in the game. They have reserve buildings, which is you can now reserve certain cards as well from the deck, which gives you another opportunity. And finally, they have rebellion, which are those rebellion cards that give you some actual gameplay thing that I haven't looked into. In any case, that covers the game. What do I think about the pledge levels, the cost? Is it worth it? So let's cover the pledge levels first. The pledge levels are pretty basic. We have the £75, roughly $85 plus shipping for the base expansion. Now, again, to be clear, we're going to get into the worth it part shortly, but just understand but once you count shipping, you're talking about $95 for an expansion to a deck builder. I mean, this is overpriced in terms of the gameplay experience you are getting. I'm not talking about whether it's worth it. I'm not giving my own 2 cents yet. I'll get to that shortly. But understand that we live in this sick, addictive Kickstarter world where there's tons of us willing to consider doing this. I mean, it is insane. This is a glorified deck builder, and a bunch of us are going to be plopping down $95 on a set of extra cards and a whole bunch of minis that are completely over the top and unnecessary, and whatever. We're sick, man. We're sick. First world problems. We should all be very thankful that these are the problems we have. Next up from there, we have the £240 pledge for the all-in. This gives you actually all the gameplay, $271 plus shipping. If you look at the breakdown they have over here, this is more of the content from the base game. But if you look at the cost breakdown, let's go to all add-ons. The way that's broken down is £110 for the core box and £75 for Lost Kingdoms. This is more than it was in the original Kickstarter, which, by the way, I am a huge fan of that. I'm not into fully Kickstarter exclusive games like Command does. Listen, from a business practice, it works for them, I don't really care. But from a practice of keeping good games in print, I don't like that. I think that if a game is that good, have it and all the extras associated with it, have them open to the world continuously. Redo a Kickstarter, have it as a win-win. Now, Command can't do that because they rely on this FOMO engine, so they keep producing new games. And again, I'm totally fine with it. I like Command. You guys know that by now. But I'm a much bigger fan of we will release this again, but charge more money for it. I love that. It simultaneously rewards the people who backed it the first time, so it does give people a reason to back a game the first time without saying, hey, if it's good, I'll just wait for the next Kickstarter. And additionally, it's also a win for the company. So it's a win for the company, it's a win for the people who backed it the first time. The only people who it's a loss for are the people who are backing it the second time. And at which point, while I hear it's a loss, while I hear it's frustrating, maybe you didn't even know about the first Kickstarter, I think that Kickstarter as a platform, for it to work properly, they need to incentivize their backers. That's why I talk about the value proposition. And part of that incentive could be, yes, we'll reprint this, but you'll get it a year and a half later because it's the second batch, and you're going to pay £20 more for the base game. I love that. Huge fan. Any case, going on from there, and next we have the extra add-ons. We have £18 for the metal coins. This is something I actually did not get for myself. I'll probably be getting it for this one, although maybe I shouldn't because it's a game on the fence about. Either way, £14 for the player mats. Before you buy these, understand that Monumental is already one of the worst table hogs I have dealt with. There are worse games, don't get me wrong. But again, considering what this game is, the player mats are just going to make it worse. They're going to add more space in between your cards. They're going to add that framing around the edge of the map. This is already one of the hardest games I have in terms of getting 3 players on the table with as it is. So you can buy these, by all means, just make sure you have the table space for them. We have these £20 cosmetic tokens to replace the basic tokens in the game. I'm intrigued by them. I think they look great. As of right now, I will be passing on these just because I think the current tokens work great, and these might be just a tad too fiddly in terms of, I mean, again, I'm curious what the actual, maybe they'll see more 3D prints or something that I can make a better judgment call, but as of right now, these look great, but they look like they'd be more fiddly to actually pick up and handle and deal with. So I am, all for pimping out your game in terms of extra miniatures as long as they don't make the game harder to play. I am concerned these would be harder to play, so I'm currently probably not backing those. And then, of course, £10 for sleeves. You can get cheaper sleeves elsewhere. Feel free to back these, but head on to Sleeve Kings or any sleeve company of your choice. You can get sleeves for significantly cheaper than £10. I don't know why anyone buys these stuff. It's like, whatever. Anyways, and by the way, these are crystal clear sleeves. It's not even like they have the card back printed on them. You're talking about paying £10 for 250 sleeves. That is ridiculously overpriced. Please, 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 please don't get these sleeves. Okay, we've talked about the pledge levels, we've talked about the gameplay. What's my 2 cents? Should you back it? Should you not? And the short answer is, if you're interested, this is a game that will hold its value. If you look at the sales on the first Kickstarter, if you look at the same thing, I've shown you guys this trick before. Head on over to eBay, check out completed listings, sold listings. Head on over to BoardGameGeek, check out completed listings. Monumental is currently a game that is selling above its price point. For people who back the first Kickstarter, they are seeing more than their price, more than what they paid, plus more than shipping. They are seeing that back. As usual, that will probably continue with the second Kickstarter. It is rare that you see a huge off the deep end. Especially because this game has not been so ridiculously successful that you have the market completely flooded with it. Generally, you have to worry a drop more about that with things like Seventh Continent, with things like Nemesis, things that were so popular, so much hype, so much buzz that they even attracted people who aren't into board games. I mean, Seventh Continent and Nemesis are both games that have gone outside the sphere of hardcore gamers and found people who read some sort of article on some sort of video game website about these games and they're interested in the theme or something about them. So when that happens, you're also going to see a higher secondary market dump on the second Kickstarter as well. Monumental doesn't have that level of extra worldwide appeal. So it will have more people backing it, but again, it's going to have more people interested in it who missed this Kickstarter. This is a completely safe back. Yes, it is 100% overkill for this game. Yes, you're talking about $300. Once you count shipping for this all-in pledge, you're talking about $300 for effectively a glorified deck builder. And I'm not even going to do it the dignity of comparing it to a game like Dominion. When you spend $300 on Dominion, do you know how many different cards you have? Do you know how much variety you have in that game? Monumental, while a good game, is definitely shiny and pretty and miniatures when they're not needed, and it's definitely overproduced. Is it beautiful on the table? 100%. Do I enjoy the gameplay? Mostly yes. But this is an overproduced game. Make no mistake. But yes, if you are thinking about backing it and you're worried about whether it's gonna, whether it's gonna hold its value or not, it will hold its value. Rest assured on that. So if you are willing to put down $300 for Monumental and you're willing to pay that if you like it, great. Congratulations. By all means, if you like it, it's great. But if you don't like it and you need to trade or sell it, yes, you can get your money back on Monumental. that's my 2 cents on Monumental. That's my opinion, my takeaway. If I left anything out, feel free to let me know. I think I covered all the add-ons. Stretch goals. Oh yeah, stretch goals. Stretch goals in general, the way it works, especially if I have a day one video, I won't really cover stretch goals or extras or anything they do. I'll cover them more in my roundup videos. So as usual, subscribe down below so you can continue to stay informed and all that. But right now, the stretch goals they have is they currently have 12 science tokens. I'll admit I'm a little confused by this because it kind of seems like they have these tokens here as an optional buy. So I'm a little uncertain what's happening there. Are they giving you the tokens as stretch goals and optional buys? I don't know yet. Feel free, like I said, subscribe. I'll cover these videos. I'll cover more about the stretch goals as they come out throughout the campaign. For right now, they are close to funding. They have not yet funded right now. They're just shy of funding right now, day one. So, you know, they will probably fund by the end of the day, and I will cover this in future videos. Like I said, it's a busy week. We probably have Bristol 1350 coming tomorrow, and then from there we have Monumental, Dinosaur 1944, and I'm sure other videos. And I mean, this is a busy week. There's more stuff coming. But in any case, until next time, I'm Alex from BoardGameCo. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe down below, like, comment, share, and yeah, enjoy.